And moving on to our last story article of the day. Let's talk about Marvel, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to talk about DC today because DC essentially the only major thing that I could think of that they did was the Superman suit reveal, and we made a video about that already. It's on the channel if you want to go and watch it. But Bob Iger, for those of you who do not know, he was the CEO of Disney throughout the entire original run of the MCU. When Tony killed Thanos and sent that man to the Shadow Realm in Endgame, Bob Iger looked out upon the grateful universe that he had created for Marvel. He looked out at the amount of money he had made Disney. He turned to the shareholders and the board, and he said, "I have done my job. It is time for me to rest." And the man retired. He left. And the person who came in after him was like, "We need to saturate the fuck out of Marvel and Star Wars. Flood the gates. I want 7 Marvel projects every single year. I want 5 Star Wars projects every single year. Just keep hammering them and pushing them out as fast as possible. I don't give a damn who loses sleep or who catches a heart attack working on this project. I need them all done today." He did not last. He was fired. I don't remember his fucking name. I don't really care to look up his name. And the Disney board went, "Who's going to be in charge?" And when they looked around at each other, they said, "None of us." And they called old Bob and was like, "Yo, Bob, we need you to come back." So Bob Iger ended up coming back. And he's had controversial takes before where he said that, he was disappointed in the fact that Star Wars wasn't performing at the level that he felt as though it should, and he blamed that on low quality in regards to the films. He has now spun the block, and Bob has arrived at Marvel and Disney Plus. And I have to say, I agree with old Bob. Bob Iger came out and he said, "We're slowly going to decrease the volume and go to probably about 2 series a year instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output from maybe 4 a year to 2 or a maximum of 3. And we're working hard on what that path is." Overall, I feel great about the slate he's talking about in regard to the upcoming Marvel projects. Overall, I feel great about the slate. It's something that I've committed to spending more and more time on. The team is one that I have tremendous confidence in, and the IP that we're mining, including all the sequels that we're doing, is second to none. I agree with Bob. For the last few years, we have been absolutely fucking bombarded with Marvel content. There was like 4 TV shows, like 3 movies a year per year. It was getting ridiculous. And the overall issue was, I know a lot of people turn and go, "It's superhero fatigue." No, I think superhero fatigue is, in my opinion, an oversimplification. It was not superhero fatigue. It was people getting tired of garbage. Because here's the thing. If superhero fatigue existed, superhero fatigue would have hit around phase 2, maybe phase 3. But asses moved to seats. Iron Man piqued everybody's interest. Hulk, Captain America the First Avenger, Thor piqued our interest. Moving forward, we had Iron Man 2, Avengers, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Black Panther. We had all of these properties that were Guardians of the Galaxy. All of these properties that were essentially coming out that were banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. Just absolutely fucking great in every way, shape, and form. And you had these team ups, that we had the major team ups in the form of the Avengers films, but then we had these smaller team ups, crossovers that would occur during the Captain America films. Fantastic. There wasn't any type of fatigue in any way, shape, or form, because each and every one of the films that was coming out was top tier. The music was top tier. The acting was top tier. The story was interwoven. It was absolutely fucking fantastic. But once we moved past Endgame, there was an issue. The story was no longer interwoven. It felt as though you were telling these singular stories that were separated from the rest of the world, with maybe some crossovers that would happen in post-credit scenes. and there wasn't an overarching villain or an overarching story throughout all of these projects you were releasing that was moving us down a certain path and towards a certain fucking direction. It just kind of felt as though we were just out there floating around in space, in a nebula, not knowing what direction we're going to go in. There's no up, there's no down, there's no left, there's no right, there's no major threat. All of these new heroes we're introducing are, in a sense, moving towards. And it was the same thing on the TV show side, where you had shows like Secret Invasion that didn't really feel secret and sure shit didn't feel like an invasion at all. That was a shitty adaptation of the source material. It was really, really, really fucking bad. And it just kept on going. We just kept on being hammered by subpar quality. And then every once in a while, you'd have something that was top tier quality that would come out. Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, Loki Season 2. What's the fourth one? I'm thinking of the fourth one. I see it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is absolutely fantastic. And it's the capstone on the end of a fantastic story in regards to characters that we've loved and been on this musical journey with since the absolute beginning. But none of these stories were interwoven. None of them are building towards something. The only one who built towards something was Loki. And we thought we were going to get a continuation of that building, but we chose the weirdest character to continue that story in the form of Ant-Man Quantumania. And then we continued that story in Loki Season 2. But of course, we had like the outside stuff that happened with Jonathan Majors that caught everybody off guard. Is he innocent? Is he guilty? My camp, I believe the man was innocent. He was just trying to get away from the situation. But after a couple of interviews, I'm like, yeah, you're innocent, but it seems as though you're deluded fucking shithead. The character had to go. So not only did we have no direction, but the vague direction it seemed we were moving in was no longer on the table because of bad decisions made by the actor in his personal life and his personal capacity. So once again, we were adrift. So it wasn't superhero fatigue. It was just being tired of not knowing what direction we're moving in. Not being tired of not knowing what direction we're going in. And that led to burnout, where people were just like, yeah, why am I watching these shows if I don't know what we're going towards? If what we're going towards no longer makes sense. So I can understand where Bob Iger is coming from. He's trying to bring it back to basically what worked for them when they were working from Iron Man all the way up to Avengers Endgame, which was 2 or 3 films a year. Maybe one drops in February. There's one that drops during the summer. Then there's one that drops maybe in November. Wide enough and far enough apart that they don't gobble each other up and cannibalize each other. But by reducing the amount of films you're working on, you're able to put more writers working on the films to basically make them better, give the actors more time to flesh out the films and also flesh out the way in which they're going to be interpreting and bringing their characters to screen, giving more time to the people that are going to be working on the CGI for the movies and making the CGI better and more enjoyable and not have it go wonky and weird like the weirdest and dumbest fucking parts. Look, Bob, I have faith in you, man. You took us on this journey for 15 years. You were able to sail the ship. You didn't crash us once. Everything went to shit after you left, and you're just trying to get everything back on board and get us back in the direction that is workable for us. Now, next year in 2025, we're gonna have Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and Blade. I do not believe we're getting Fantastic Four next year. I think Fantastic Four might just get pushed to 2026. I think next year might be Captain America, Thunderbolts, and Blade. Because I know Captain America is currently filming, I know Thunderbolts is currently filming, and I know Blade is currently filming, but I have not heard a damn thing about Fantastic Four. And nobody that I know who's in the know has said anything to me about Fantastic Four. So, for the most part, Fantastic Four has a gigantic question mark next to it. Now, of course, you've got a bunch of TV characters. And when I say a bunch of TV characters, I'm really, really, really only talking about one. I'm talking about Miss Marvel. I believe that Miss Marvel Kamala Khan needs her own movie. The Marvels was... It was. to put it bluntly, the Marvels was. It came out, it existed. The best part of that film was Miss Marvel. And I think what's her name, Imani Veli. I think she's absolutely fantastic as Miss Marvel. She's the perfect live screen Kamala Khan. Either make her a leader of something, maybe the new Avengers. Maybe she should be the one going around recruiting people to like this. No way, I think she is the one going around recruiting people to like this new organization, because if I remember correctly, she went and recruited Kate Bishop from Hawkeye. So yeah, no, they're doing the right thing in regards to her character there. But yeah, I agree with Bob. Let's reduce the amount of stuff we're doing with Marvel, allowing us to allocate more resources to the less films that we're working on. Deadpool is definitely going to be, in my opinion, the bounce off to the rebirth of the brand, where you're dropping Deadpool, have Deadpool introduce essentially who the main villain is going to be, and then just go from there. And probably have Deadpool act as the person that essentially pops up in all of the different projects, bringing people together to deal with this like external threat that we're moving towards. Because we're not going to have Kang Dynasty anymore. That's been canceled, and there's an asterisk next to the name of that project. So chances are we're still going to have Secret Wars. I wouldn't be shocked if they just made it Secret Wars Part 1 and then Secret Wars Part 2. But hey, we'll see where Marvel goes in the next few months. We'll readdress this topic and this discussion when Deadpool comes out. When Deadpool comes out, we'll be able to talk about this in a more broader light. But yep, that is our episode for today. That's all of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of the podcast. Like I said, I really do just do this for you guys that show up and watch this and listen to this every week. You guys are absolutely freaking awesome. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.